I'm starting a new life, turn wrongs into right. This is the Being Beloved podcast.
So now we're introducing Dr. Renaya Furtick Wheelan, Executive Director and co-founder of I'm Free. Okay, so now would you introduce yourself to us? Let us know the work that you've been doing, your background. How did you get started?
Sure. How did I get started in working with sisters who are in captivity, or just how?
Well, let's just hear your story.
Okay, my story first. Okay, my story. Okay, so I actually grew up in South Philly, and I grew up in South Philly during the time where they were still fighting neighborhood. You can't walk to Fifth Street because you're from Seventh. You can't walk to whatever, and so. It was a tumultuous time growing up there at that time. I had siblings who are, or who were at the time, incarcerated. I had cousins that I grew up with in the system. We were out there doing all kinds of disrespectful things out there, not being responsive to our community or society. And so at some point in my life, I said, hold on. I don't want to find myself in captivity like my cousins or my siblings. So I had to really think about, how do I shift this thing? How do I show up differently regardless of what's happening in the community? And so during that time, we could find more bars and churches on corners than anything else. And so I did what most people in, I'm going to quote unquote, the hood did. I hung out with my people and my friends and got into some stuff that I probably shouldn't have at such a young age. But thank God I turned that around and decided that I was worthy of not finding myself in a system that didn't respect me as a woman, as an African American. So I decided to shift and learn how to read. So here's the shocking thing to a lot of people. I didn't know how to read until I started reading when I was 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
Because of the history, because of the trauma, because of the neighborhood that I grew up in, because my mother died when I was 2 and my father was a raging alcoholic, because of all of those things, life played a part. And so when I got old enough to show up for me, I had to make that conscious decision. Either you're going to do this or you're going to play in life's field the way it's given it to you, or you're going to show up and be great and work on being great and work on changing, work on shifting. And so that's what I did. I actually ended up getting adopted when I was 15 years old. And so with that being the case, this woman saw me when I didn't see myself. I had no clue who I was or what I was doing. And she was able to see that. And the interesting thing, I say to people, even though I didn't know anything about praying, my biological mother was a praying mother, right? I never knew her really. But I would pray. Listen, I would get high. I'd be chilling, right? High. Talk about, oh God, and not knowing that even in that, things were shifting because I was really asking for help. I wanted to be different. And then this woman showed up. I would literally pray and ask God if I could have a mother to call my own, because I was tired of being hurt. I wanted a mom to call my own. I wanted to go to school. I wanted to graduate school. How in the heck was that going to happen if I couldn't read, right? And I wanted to live in a place where people saw me and that I wasn't being victimized or traumatized by the environment. And little did you know, this woman showed up next door. And I was like, how in the world, you got to be careful what you ask for, right? You really do. Yeah. Because I just asked for a mama. Mm-hmm. And this little Irish, same-sex loving woman shows up and said, I see you. I'm 15. Yo, I'm out there fighting. I'm getting high. I'm doing all kinds of crazy. And she saw me and she held me. And because of that, that's why I do the work that I do now with the women, if I can shift. Because this woman saw me when no one else did. And I didn't even believe in myself. And she said, you can be. but you have to do the work. You have to believe that you can be. I was like, what the hell is that? Excuse me. What is that? What do you mean? But I figured it out with her help. And she allowed me to stand on her shoulders. As broken as I was, as fractured as I was, she said, you can do this. And I think it was around 19, I really went like this. Oh, snap. I think I have to show up to this thing. I have to do the work. I have to believe that I can transform, that I can shift. I really escaped prison because I would hide out. And the older people in my family would go, I got you, right? So you want to get high? I got you. We would get caught in stuff. Here, you carry this. You've never been in trouble before. You carry this. If the police come, well, I didn't know, right? So I did that. But I never got caught. Thank God I never got caught with any of that stuff. So that's kind of how I started looking at it from this system, the incarcerated system, like, because my family was there and I didn't want to be there. And I saw what it did when they came out, and I didn't want that. So I had to make that conscious decision to show up. So you're going to show up? How are you going to show up? And so I did. And that's how it started for me.
Okay. So what led you to go as far as to getting a doctorate at that point?
Mm-hmm. Because I said, I couldn't read, right? And so I would pray to God for that, and I just wanted to get out of school. And so my mother, who was also a doctor, literally said, you could do this. I was 16, she was reading to me. Tar Baby, Beloved. Like, she was reading Black authors that I've never heard of in the language that I couldn't even read when I looked at the paper. And she just kept telling me that I could. So she put me in the school, and I don't know, and it's the school in Philadelphia. God bless you. Mm-hmm. There was a school, and I think it's still here, called the Parkway Program. And so I was fortunate enough to go to the Parkway Program, where it was called the School Without Walls, right? So we didn't have the regular type of schools, where you go in and you're in this little room and you stay for your whatever many hours. We had classes outside on that train that keeps coming by. We would go from one end of the city to the other. It was called On the Road. They taught us that. It was just out of the box thinking when it came to schools. And that was in Philadelphia. And so she made sure I got there. And then I went to a special program, and it was really interesting. I went to a special program at Temple. Check out the name, SHRAP. Who names a program SHRAP? It's like, are we piece of... Like, what? But that's what they did, right? And I made it through. So I actually got into college on a special program. And then once I got there, and it's so interesting because my friends, I think they're much brighter, amazing, awesome lives. They didn't make it through. And I think because of my thug, back in, my thug days, like, I was straight up, like, I'm going to fight to the end. And so when it came to my education, that's what I did. I'm hanging in here. I don't care how long it takes me. I'm worthy of this. And I had to change. I had to literally believe that I could be. So once I got my undergrad, I was like, whoa, I made it out of high school and I got my what? So that was my thing, right? And then I was like, well, listen, I went to work for an organization who believed in educating people, and it was free. And they said, would you like to go get your master's? And I said, sure, on them. They paid for my master's, they paid for everything. And then I decided, hey, well, I'm already doing it. Why not? I went to work for Temple. So all of my education was free. Okay. All of it, including my doctorate. And that's what I tell sisters today. If you really want to get through it, go to a school or a hospital or something that believes in educating you. Get into a union that believes in educating you. And that's how I did it.
Okay, perfect.
Being Beloved podcast was made possible by a grant from the Valentine Foundation and also sponsored by Love Now Media.
So walk me through the transition from obtaining your doctorate to getting to I'm free.
Which is fascinating because I got my doctorate in psychology, group psychology. Actually, the interesting thing is all of the degrees, even though I didn't plan it out that way, was group oriented and psychology. So my doctorate is in psychoeducational processing with the education psych and with the, what do we call it, when you do a dual major in OD. So I did some OD work. And so after doing that, I literally was thinking, what next? Well, it was supposed to be psychology, and I went to work for a hospital for years, and I thought, this isn't it. Because here's what we do. And I'm not down on anybody who needs to go to therapy. Please hear that. That's not what, if you need to go do that thing, do the thing. But I was working with teens. And so what I found happening is they would throw these children into the hospital, and the parents would go off and do their thing. And we would do this whole Band-Aid thing where we get the children for, and at the time it was 21 days, trying to get them to show up in their greatness and to heal and all of that. And the parents were out coming in every now and then to a meeting. Well, you can't fix a system if half the system isn't there. And so these poor babies, we were slapping Band-Aids on them, sending them out, and you'll see them return because we did not do the work with the family, the systems. And so that's what happened for me. I just saw that the individual stuff wasn't where I wanted to be anymore. And I got to I'm Free because we had gone to a friend of ours was getting her doctorate. And we decided that as a group of sisters, we will all support each other. And so that year we each came together and we had a thing, whatever the it was that we wanted to work on for the year. And to complete that task at the end of the year, we're going to all support each other. And so this one sister was getting her doctorate, and she said, hey, let's go. And we went there to support her, Arizona, I think it was, to support her in getting her doctorate. So we went, we were all excited. I'm going to get my massage. I'm going to chill out. And I started listening to her defense. And she looked at persons who were incarcerated. And so my question is, who are the persons? She's a black woman standing up there. And she said, well, they're predominantly men. And I said, well, what happened to the women? Well, why not women? She said, one or two came. And so then my question became, I always have the follow-up, then why didn't they stay? What was it in your design that didn't make her feel like she could be a part of this process? And so I started thinking about that, and I went, yeah, no, I think there's something that needs to be done. And that night I just kept, it was in my spirit, like there is something that needs to be done, because we're always throwing money at men in the system. And at that time, there were more and more people who looked like me who were entering that system faster than anything else. So they were snatching our women off the streets for a long time. And I was like, what's going on here? It wasn't until the drug disparity laws came into place where now you go into the jails and they look like Caucasian women. And so now we're really thinking about how do we get these sisters some help. When they look like me, I didn't get as much support. And so I started thinking about that. And it's like, we have to do something. So we researched and went to places and went to things and went to organizations and just listened and listened. And for the majority of the time, we heard men, 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 men. We're going to pour into men. Yes, there's some stuff that we could do with women. But what they did was drop women into a male-dominated environment, including the way they looked, the dress, the way they treated them. And it's like, no, this isn't okay. We need to begin to educate folk on women in this system. They're still women. Could we have some trauma-informed stuff? Could we have some gender-responsive stuff? And the interesting thing is when we did get into the jail, when we did get into the jail, we were able to talk to some of the POs. Is that, what do you call them in jail? Correction officer, okay. COs, okay. We spoke to them. We had the warden on board. We did some workshops with them. We even pulled the warden in to do workshops. And he was really looking at how do we make this jail trauma informed to address the needs of women. So, I mean, in essence, I got there because I heard a dissertation that just didn't feel comfortable to me. And I wanted people to see that women, include my sister was in the system, and she had gotten out, and it was like, she said there was nothing like what I created for her, which then made me even more aggressive about, let's educate folk about my sisters who are in captivity.
According to a report by the National Institute of Justice, as of 2019, there were approximately 2,700 reentry programs in the United States. With that, it's important to note the differences between pre-release reentry programs and post-release reentry programs. Pre-release prison programs like I'm Free offers participants reintegration initiatives that begin anywhere from 1 year to 6 months prior to release. These programs are meant to assist the women in preparing for life on the outside. Post-release programs, on the other hand, are programming initiatives like Why Not Prosper that offers reentry initiatives for those who have already transitioned from prison to community and offers support services like transitional housing, job training, parenting classes, and substance abuse counseling.
I want to put a pin in that because I'm very interested to see why you say captivity rather than incarcerate. Well, let's just ask that question now. So why captivity?
Because a lot of the sisters, and the brothers too, but a lot of my sisters were being snatched off the streets because of what she was doing to her for the most part. So she was, if she unfortunately got involved in substance abuse issues, then it was something that she needed help with. But instead of getting her the help she needed to help understand why she is using the way she's using, we threw her behind the walls, right? And so to me I say captivity because that's exactly what it felt like. It was like a modern day slavery. Listen, we're snatching all of your black and brown people off the streets. First of all, we're powerful beyond measure. We are powerful beyond measure, and it's scary. And so if I can jack up your mind, that's the best thing I'm going to do. And the way I can do that is snatch you up and put you behind walls and tell you when to eat, when to pee, when to jump, when to do whatever. And I have you. I control you. I control you. Can I give you a quick example of that?
Absolutely.
When we were inside, so there was a sister. So one of the things we do, we went in and I created a curriculum, 7 weeks. I think it was 7 weeks at the time. Curriculum. We went in, we do the curriculum, and it was about shifting the way the sister was thinking and feeling and having her show up in her greatness and knowing how powerful she was. And yes, stuff happened to you. That's first we have to understand. Right. It happened to you. And so getting her to understand that it wasn't all about, oh, I just want to wake up today and be evil, or wake up today and hurt somebody, or wake up today and hurt myself. There were things that happened that led her to this piece, right? And so with that being the case, we would go in and tell sisters, listen, I say I'm like Harriet Tubman, right? The new version of Harriet Tubman. I go in stealth and I pour in love. And I want you to see you. I want you to know that stuff happened to you, right? And so I do this whole thing and I'm pouring into the sisters and I'm like, listen, you can shift. You can show up differently. And so we have sisters that come in and initially they go, when you say, who are you? So one of the things we do, who are you, right? And they go, I am all of the labels that other people do, right? I am a mother, I am a daughter, I am. It's like, no. Who are you? Like, you're more than that. And we started getting sisters who wouldn't say, I am beautiful, I am kind, I am loving, I am forgiven, I am whatever the I am is, right? Mm-hmm. And one day we walk in and one of our sisters is shackled. Hip, legs, everything shackled. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but it's not a beautiful sight. So, and they were about to take her off to court. This is just because she's going to court. And we walk in right in time. And she says, Dr. Renaya, and I'm going to try to not get emotional. She says, Dr. Renaya, I am. And she started listing off all the beauty that she is and how she shows up on the planet. And you know what one of the CEOs did? He said, you ain't SHIT. You may have got other people fooled, but you ain't fooling nobody but yourself. I went ballistic. Are you kidding me? Because she could have gone into her cell that day because you tried to belittle her, you tried to take her from her, and hung herself. I went to the warden. I told her, it's not okay. It's not okay. Even if for a moment she saw that vision of her being greater than that thing that came through the door, come on, give her that. Let her have that. She's on her way to court, and she's going to be in jail for some time because she fought back. So I'm going to leave that there. But
Okay. But that was a powerful story. And let's circle back to when you were talking about resources for men and women. What do you think the primary differences are in what is offered to men and what is offered to women?
God, the primary differences, it's real interesting to say. I think the entire system is different. They offer a lot of, so we go into the male jails. They have computer, they have all kinds of workshops, they have education, they have all of these things coming up. You can do a lot of things. You go into the female prisons, and it's not the same. They're starting to because people like us are fighting to say, no, you need to see her, and you can't give her the same thing that you're giving him. Like, she's different than him. And one of the things we challenge the system with is they go, oh, she's needy. No. Don't do that to her. No, she's not needy. She's a woman with different needs. That's what I say all the time. And so you can't give me what you give and dude over here. You can't. But they do that even down to teach what they wear under their undergarments. So I don't even know how to answer that.
Okay. Well, let me say it a different way. Let's see if we can get to this. So if your professional opinion, tell me, if I'm working with an organization, what does this sister need when she's coming in? Just the bare necessities, just to get her over through that transition. What does she need?
I think, first of all, she needs you to see her.
Okay.
Her whole self. She's coming to the table with every part of her, the fractured, the love, the healed, the hurt, all of it. And she might be undereducated or not educated at all, unemployed or not employed at all, unhoused. Her children has been taken away. So what does she need? She needs the entire system. But what happens often is they go, oh, you need to go get your diploma. But I can't read. So it's going to take me some time to get that. But in order to get that, you need to get a job. Well, I can't get a GED. Sometimes I can't even get a job because I don't have the GED. Well, you need housing in order to get your child back, and she needs all of that. So if I had the magic wand and I could make things happen for my sisters, I would definitely have a home available to her immediately with a job the moment she walks out the door. The moment she walks out the door of that prison or that jail. I would have that available to her with all of the counseling that she needs, because not only was she traumatized before she went in, that system kills you. So I'm sure she's traumatized and victimized. And so she's coming out, and the mindset is totally different once you've been in captivity.
Yes.
So.
Okay. So, excuse me. So let's look at this Philadelphia landscape. You do work in Philadelphia and New Jersey, correct? How are the systems different? Are they different? What makes Philadelphia unique in the way that it serves? Or does not serve, right, the population.
Right. What makes it is I chuckle because I'm like, what makes Philadelphia unique? I'm not sure that it's unique at all. I think that, yes, there are organizations that are out there trying to do the work. One of the things I do know is that some of the big major colleges out here now, they're taking over what we used to do with grassroots and, you know, getting the few dollars that we could potentially get. They're getting the thousands, the millions to do this work, that the universities, to do the work that we're doing, the grassroots, and so we don't get as much. I think that the idea of the political landscape, I think they're starting to recognize the importance of looking at women differently in that system than they do men. So, for example, we were working with a lieutenant in the I'm going to call it the roundhouse, but that's Philadelphia's language, is the jail before they go to jail. And he was really big on looking at women in the system and how they were getting in. And he wanted us to come in and work. So I think that's unique, to work with them before they actually get to the jail. And then once they get out of the jails, have those courts set up for them so they can have that support immediately. I think that could, I think that's a unique thing about Philadelphia, that they are really trying to, like the bail system, all of that they're putting into place, making sure that women have mentors before this is what he was trying to do, have mentors before they even get into the system. If they're going to be there for a while, connect with somebody that's in there, but connect with us on the outside before they even get in there. So I think that's a plus for Philly.
So looking from where you started to where you are now, what do you feel is I'm Free's contribution to Philly and the women who are returning?
Wow. I'm Free's contribution, I think, to the women, we come with our authentic, I'm authentic. We come with our authentic self. We see them. We want to work with the wholeness of who they are. Like, see every part of her, not just hand her this Band-Aid to stick on this thing and know that she's not going to be there. We tell her from day one, from the time we work with her on the inside until the time she's out, and forever in a day. If you still have my number, call me. I don't care where you are on the spectrum. I don't care what you're doing at the time. I want you to really know that we are here 100% for you. Even if I can't get to you at that moment, hold on for a second, because I won't leave you. I won't leave you. And I forgot
And then for Philly,
Philly.
the community.
Ask the question again, please.
So what do you feel like I'm Free has contributed to the community?
You know, it's so interesting. I don't know why I'm struggling, but then I had to check myself and go, that's the thing about women, right? You've done some great work. Say it. Own it. Be okay with it. Yes. But that's just like asking me, like I ask you, who are you, when you give me the, okay, so I'm going to check myself for a minute. I think that being trauma-informed, going out there and having folk really see the women, advocating for the women, being gender responsive, understanding that, no, sis, you are a woman. Now, you may be a same-sex loving woman, you may be a hetero woman, cisgender woman, but you are a woman, and we need to treat you that way and not treat you like, you know, we treat the men. And so we used to go and do a lot of presentations, letting folk know that they really need to see her. See, like, no bull. She's not just a number. She's not just this person who threw away her children or her life. There's power behind who she is. And so that's a lot of the work that we do, just informing folk and letting folk know, like fighting for these sisters, letting them know that, yes, I may have been in the system, but guess what? I'm not that system. I'm more than that system. And that's what we do.
I'm starting a new life. Thank you for those who are listening to the Being Beloved podcast, a podcast exclusively on Arc Republic that is committed to telling the narratives of formerly incarcerated women who are experiencing or going through reintegrating back into their communities and their respective homes. As well, we want to thank the Valentine Foundation for providing a grant for us to carry out this very special series. The Valentine Foundation is a Philadelphia-based organization committed to empowering women and girls. And as well, we must send a shout out to our sister organization, Love Now Media. Love Now Media is a company that is committed to an equitable future by amplifying acts of love, I love this, at the intersection of social justice, wellness, and equity. Lastly, and certainly not least, we would like to give gratitude to those who are listening, who are coming home, who are reestablishing themselves and going through reintegration. We want to let you know we are with you, we support you, we see you, and keep going even in the roughest days. Oh, and we did not forget those who are inside and are doing their time and those who are about to be released. We all love you. We all support you. And we hope that you grow and evolve with this Being Beloved podcast. And remember to keep being beloved, beloveds. I'm starting a new life. Turn wrongs into right. This is the Being Beloved podcast.